Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. More teams confirmed for Masters Toronto. FNS after his NRG drama confirming what's been happening there behind the scenes, exactly why he left the team when he did, and why he didn't depart the roster and organisation much earlier than that, and also confirming that as far as he's aware, this new team is looking rather good. Ethan is the in-game leader. The scrim results seem to back that up as well. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. The train has come to a halt. The tracks have, well, it's been derailed off the tracks by Gen.G and the boys. We'll get to that in a second. This is the trophy for the Pacific, which we're going to see who's fighting for that in just a couple of seconds. Just to mention this, after the grand finals between Gen.G and RRQ currently underway, we'll see how that's going in a second. The stage 2 group draw is going to happen, so of course that's notable, and in the Pacific the grand finals Tokyo for stage 2, that's already been locked of course. So excited to see how that one goes. Of course the group draw around the different regions has been a little bit controversial as of late, I would say. But yeah, yesterday was a big day. Like, the 3 teams in the Pacific had already qualified through to Masters Toronto, so the question then was, okay, who's going to make the finals, who's going to win the region? And fair play to RRQ, because, you know, this roster wasn't really sure what to expect from them. They showed some occasional promise last year. They've made some good moves, but still, Paper X, the train was running away, right? Like, it looked like they were going to potentially steamroll all the way through at least to the finals, where they would have faced Gen.G, but they didn't. Paper X eventually go down in 5. There were some crazy maps in it. I mean, they won the map for Icebox 13-3. You'd have thought maybe at that point that they'd have gone on to win the series, but no, RRQ bounced back well. They start off 9-2 up, eventually 9-3, and don't get 9-3 cursed. Jemkin versus Forsaken was effectively the story of the series. You know, Jemkin had some crazy moments, and, okay, Crazy Guy had a more difficult time, but fair play, right? They guaranteed their spot RRQ to the Esports World Cup later in the year. They lost Game 1 Fracture 13-2 on their map pick, and somehow they still had the wherewithal to then win the split 14-12 overtime, win the Pearl 14-12 overtime, and look, fair play to Paper X bouncing back again, but it's kind of wild. The only maps that Paper X won were absolute demolition jobs, and everything else was either close, or then the final ascent running out of steam just that little bit. Gen.G, of course, considered the favourites for this final, but as it stands, it has just gone 1-1. Haven was 13-8 to Gen.G. The Ascent RRQ, after a dominant start on the attack, interestingly enough, they bounced back and won the defense when it mattered just now. Jemkin again on the Yoru. Here he is, 27-17. What a player he has been recently for this roster. So the grand final continues. We'll see how that goes. Gen.G will still be expected to close it out, but would be pretty wild if RRQ managed to win their region. As something says, GG's RRQ, we lost, but see you in Toronto. So those are going to be the 3 teams there in attendance. Let's talk Europe though, because we had big confirmations yesterday who was going to make it, certainly from the upper side. We know that Europe's been lagging behind somewhat, as to be fair they usually do, but mainly due to all of the PC related drama that unfolded that they eventually resolved, and since then it's been, you know, pretty damn good in terms of the context of the region. Heretics BBL though, this was a 2-0. Not a clean-cut 2-0. BBL are a solid team. It was 13-10 on the Ascent, and then it was a 14-12 on the Icebox, but Heretics clutched up. Big second map here from Benji Fishy in the end. And Heretics, they will be appearing out there in Toronto. So, look, it's going to be really exciting. We've got G2 looking pretty close to prime form. We've got Gen.G looking very competitive. We've got Heretics looking very competitive. You know, it's going to be a great tournament getting out there, I'm sure. And Heretics, they get the job done. Bit of a shaky start to the year, but they've started to turn it around again. They're getting locked in. And, you know, now they're showing the form that we know that they are capable of. So they're going to officially be in Toronto. The other team that's going to officially be in Toronto is none other than Fnatic. This was expected to be, as I said yesterday, a banger series. There's certainly history between these two, Liquid versus Fnatic. And we saw it again. I mean, pretty wild. Nats had such an insane performance here in terms of first kills, first deaths, impact, that type of stuff. But, I mean, here you go, 11-12, Liquid, 1 round away from, if you guys didn't see this, 1 round away from winning the game. And Fnatic Boaster in the 1v1 comes around the corner, headshots Nats, takes it to overtime, and guess what? They go on to win the entire thing. So, honestly, an amazing series. So competitive. I mean, look at this from Nats. 17 first kills to 3 first deaths. Like, that's an outrageous level of impact. But it just, unfortunately, didn't matter in the end. Fnatic won the split 13-10. Liquid then won the Icebox 13-11. It was super close. A map, of course, that both of these teams like, but Fnatic picked on this occasion. Kayak with a big game too, but of course, in the end, it didn't end up mattering. And then the final map was, you know, just pretty outrageous, right? Liquid had such a great start, got up 8-4 on their attacking side. Fnatic then bounced back. That one key clutch from Boaster got them to the overtime, and in the end that was enough to get them over the line. So I think Alpha, Boaster, I mean really the entire team, but certainly those guys I think deserve a lot of credit for some of the plays they made down the stretch, even if on the scoreboard they weren't exactly the most individually dominant players. But the entire team deserves credit. Crashies has done a great job since coming in here, and yeah, congratulations to Fnatic. They could have been pretty gutted, right? Because to get that close and to lose in that way is painful, but they'll still feel confident they can still make it. But Fnatic, after a bit of a nightmare really few months, I mean it's still been so questionable what's happening over there behind the scenes. They've changed some things around, new coaches and all this. I mean of course Leo they'd still like to have back, but it's not happened yet, and maybe unfortunately never will. Alpha says Toronto baby, and Leo's in the replies here dropping, you know, the crown emoji. I thought it was really rather nice, but still raises questions on when, if ever, Leo will be back. But Crashies for now is doing an excellent job in that team, and it's nice to see a team as talented as Fnatic back out there to Toronto after a difficult stint over the last few months, trying to figure out where exactly they go from here. But the other piece I wanted to share for you guys, of course, is on FNS and what's happening in the Americas, because NRG, they started the year so strong, they won the Soup Valorant League, and after that it's been an absolute disaster. But FNS was talking about what's happened behind the scenes to get to this point, saying that actually his intention this year was not really to play. His intention was probably still to call it a day. But some said, look, no, I want to come back, I want to play with you, we're going to make it work this year. Initially there showed some promise, and then of course it fell off. I think the big question for many though, looking back at this scenario based on what FNS has to say here, is that damn, FNS was always kind of planning to call it a day, maybe even earlier than we thought that he would. I mean, he already said that he was going to do it at the end of the year, but he certainly already had one foot out the door, as it were. But yet still, the whole Verdo drama, the whole Bogcard drama, you know, even Mike's HD, all that stuff ended up happening. So it's kind of confusing as to exactly how or why that unfolded, right? Because, you know, if you're NRG and you're hearing FNS sit here say, well, you know, probably wasn't going to compete this year anyway, and then you're thinking, well, damn, like, do we just lose Verdo for no reason at all? At least Bonkar's still back, and now they've got Skuba in the team, and he reckons they're going to do really well with Ethan in the roster, given how, you know, Ethan IGLing the roster. I don't think that Ethan should be a terrible in-game leader. I actually think that he can be a pretty damn good one, but it's just in the past it hasn't really worked. So many in the community are saying, well, does this seem like the best idea? But FNS reckons this could go to plan.
And you know, at the beginning of this year, I'll give you guys a real story. Real story, by the way. Actual story I'm about to tell. You guys can say it's a troll. I'm being dead serious. I said, yo, guys, I'm gonna be honest. I told the org, I don't want to play this fucking game anymore. This game is miserable. I'm done. I'm 33 years of age. I was 32 at the time. I'm done. And you know what they said to me? No, not they. Sorry, you know what Sam said to me? Sam's like, don't say that. I have you this year.
It's getting too real on my end.
I have you this year, John.
I think this really...
No, you didn't! You did not have me!
How close the series can be. Especially with the side of RQ that is known for like...
That is good. You never... It never happened.
And that's undeniable, and I've given them that respect.
So...
two maps in this series if RQ takes it. I think
as far as I'm concerned, none of this shit is on me. Like, I'm all for taking accountability, but I said I'm not trying to play. And my boy, you guys also, this rumor, oh my god, this rumor. Finesse held Sam hostage, ruining his career. Suck my dick. He held me hostage. I was the hostage. I said, let me go, I want to leave. And he said, no, we're gonna win together. First rounded. And then I finally, after this performance, I was like, I'm done. I'm stepping down. And there's nothing you can do about it, bitch. So now, Sam, go win, bro. Go win for me. Okay, yo, when you win, because I genuinely believe you guys will do really well and at least make champs. I'm not going to say you're going to win champs, that's just weird. But I think you guys have a good shot at making champs. When you do, just shout me out on stream. That's all I ask. Nothing crazy, just a shout out. But don't say like shout out for stepping down. That's weird. Don't be weird about it. Just say Shout out to FNS. He laid the foundations of what we are now. On Skuba, I think he's insane. I think they're going to do really well. Straight up. I think this NRG roster, with Ethan in-game leading, with the support that he has. Think about it. When Ethan in-game led the first time, it was a very different team with a lot of internal issues. And they lost a very, very unlucky round to 10s. If they had won that game, that year would have been different for them. And that was also a team that literally very different personalities in terms of just everyone had accomplished. On this team, Ethan is much more respected, I think, in terms of the fact that he's done more than every player he has around him. And that like vibe matters kind of. Sir.
Poster falls, Chronicle in the same spot.
Yeah, FNAF ain't qualifying.
You're
Not with this
so
combo.
dumb. Oh, now what? Now what? Now what?
Great success.
Now what?
Just like that, Fnatic.
Oh my god. No shot.
We do have one little Scrimbux from this. I know it's 2G, so it's not exactly like, wow, right? Like, they're beating up on a great team, but they were 11-4 up with this new roster against 2G. Here's Marder, here's Som up 11-4, so, you know, still pretty good, respectable maybe at the end of the day. Just to close out, we thought this was kind of nice from FNS, who quote tweets this from Ardis, of course, who we play with for some time, and, you know, this year it's just been Ardis on the stream, basically. Hungry to play, let's build a dynasty brick by brick. He tweeted this out back in September, and FNS says, how this guy hasn't found a team this entire year is beyond me. One of the best players and teammates that I've ever had. So, nice words from FNS. Is that going to be a difference maker? We'll see. Maybe FNS, instead of, well, in addition to Watch Partying, could go and be a general manager somewhere and bring Ardis into his lineup. This is how things close out here in Europe. So, Heretics, Fnatic, that's the upper final. Both of those teams are qualified for Toronto. The winner will make sure they're at the World Cup as well. Liquid versus Na'Vi is lower round 2, and then BBL for esports is lower round 2 as well, but on the other side of the bracket. So only one of these 4 teams will make it. I mean, honestly, it kind of could be anyone. I don't think it's going to be Na'Vi. I think Liquid will probably win that one. BBL versus FUT probably could go either way, to be honest. Probably would take FUT esports, but it's somewhat difficult to say. This game's happening, honestly, very shortly this afternoon. But, yeah, don't know what's going to happen there. Liquid will feel like they can win it, but it could easily be one of the Turkish teams, and maybe you can never count out Official Angel either. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.